Good morning, everyone. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops way above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why, then why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I?
Good morning, everyone. Wow, that performance was just amazing, Sandy. Beautiful voice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for starting our morning with such a beautiful song and on such a joyous note. How's everyone doing? It's gorgeous to see so many people out today. It's a little emotional, so give everyone a pat on your back for attending today on this cold and kind of windy day. Which, by the way, the official slogan of Tourism Ottawa was cold and windy for about 2 years, so it's better now.
Just if I'm walking around.
My name is Emma Wakelin, and I will be one of your MCs for today, for this beautiful for this beautiful flag raising here on Parliament Hill.
Bonjour, thank you so much, Emma. J'ai le plaisir d'être co-animatrice et j'aimerais vraiment dire à tout le monde merci d'être là. On sait que cette année, malheureusement, encore, on a besoin de réitérer notre soutien. On a besoin de show up and show out, be proud, be loud. On doit être fiers et continuer à défendre les droits des personnes de LGBTQ+.
So today we gather on this iconic hill, the heart of our democracy and our country, to raise our progress flag. And it's not just a colorful piece of cloth. It is a symbol of unity and inclusion, love, and the diversity in the 2S LGBT community here in Canada. It is a reminder of the struggles and the sacrifices of those that came before us, who fought for their rights, their dignity, and their place in our society. Let this flag raising be a stark reminder that those struggles and sacrifices continue today. I would like to say that in the 7 years since this flag first flew on Parliament Hill, things for the queer community have gotten easier, more inclusive, safer. That, however, would probably be a lie, and one should never lie on Parliament Hill, especially if you don't have parliamentary privilege. The fact is, the world has gotten a little bit more hostile to us. Across the world, draconian laws are being passed that endanger the lives of queer people. Closer to home, there are over 400 bills or laws that have been passed in the United States that effectively criminalize being transgender. As Canadians, we must not allow ourselves to be smug or to pat ourselves on the back saying that that doesn't happen here, because it does. Ask any trans person who voices their opinion on social media. Ask any who attended Drag Story Hour only to be met with violence and hatred. Ask the queer kids in York Region who had to hide in a classroom where protesters protested them outside of their school. Ask the school trustee here in Ottawa who was met with death threats and anti-Semitism just for daring to ensure that the schools in Ottawa were safe for everyone. Ask the folks in New Brunswick who are trying to stop their legislature from passing the same bathroom laws and school rules that you can find in Texas and Florida. The truth is that for far too many of us, the world's continuing to narrow. And if we cannot be safe here, then where? My dear friend, Rabbi Taylor Barishaw of Holy Blossom Temple in Toronto often shares with me the wisdom of her faith, that one must rush to fulfill the mitzvah. In other words, do not hesitate to do the right thing. For far too often in our nation's history, we have allowed indifference to foster ignorance, ignorance to foster injustice, and injustice to foster tragedy. It is rare indeed to be able to stop a stain on history before it begins. We must rush to fulfill that mitzvah. Because if not now, then when? And if not here, then where? And if not for us, then for who? The late, great Canadian poet Leonard Cohen once said that there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. I urge you all, for the sake of the many that you may call friends or family, neighbors or fellow Canadians, for that child hiding in their classroom so scared and alone, be that light in the darkness before it consumes us all. Thank you, Marci.
Merci infiniment. Je vais pas traduire tout. I'm not going to translate everything. Mais je vais en profiter pour aussi répéter en français l'importance de ce que Emma vient de partager avec nous. Et parce que la journée d'aujourd'hui est tellement symbolique que j'ai même oublié de m'introduire. Mon nom est Cindy Duperval. Je suis fièrement lesbienne, mais ça m'a pris énormément de temps avant de faire mon coming out, justement parce que le monde dans lequel on vit est encore très dangereux pour les personnes de LGBTQ+. Et en ce moment même, les gens se battent pour leur vie, les gouvernements qui créent des lois pour non seulement s'opposer, mais détruire l'existence des personnes de LGBTQ+. Quand on est une personne qui vient d'un milieu très religieux, ce genre d'affront fait peur. Ça fait peur de vouloir sortir du placard parce qu'on se dit « je vais mettre ma vie en danger ». Mais qu'est-ce que vivre si on ne peut pas être soi-même? Je sais que les personnes trans, les personnes non-binaires en ce moment ont besoin de notre soutien. J'ai le plaisir de pouvoir être à côté d'une personne magnifique et je veux que le monde le voie. Et je veux que les écoles, parce que l'éducation fait toute la différence, je veux que les écoles puissent continuer à ouvrir la porte au dialogue, mais surtout créer des environnements sains, des environnements sécuritaires, parce que notre existence compte. Et comme tout le monde, on a le droit de vivre dans la dignité et être protégé. Sur ce, nous sommes ravis qu'aujourd'hui, nous soyons entourés de gens exceptionnels pour la levée du drapeau de la fierté, pour justement réitérer, de repartager le message d'inclusion, de diversité, de paix, mais surtout de dire que la communauté et les communautés de LGBTQ+, vont continuer à se battre, mais vont continuer à être, grâce à vous, capable de faire évoluer les choses. Quand je pense à ma vie, oui, ça a été difficile, mais je sais que je veux que les choses soient plus faciles pour les générations à suivre. Et peu importe ce qu'il va falloir faire pour continuer à aller dans la bonne direction, on va être ici, on s'en va nulle part. Alors, nous avons une liste impressionnante d'invités. Mais c'est vous, à la maison, c'est vous qui êtes ici, qui faites vraiment la différence dans vos vies de tous les jours, dans votre soutien. Alors, continuez à nous soutenir, s'il vous plaît. La levée du drapeau témoigne de l'engagement du gouvernement du Canada à soutenir la diversité et l'inclusion et représenter une célébration de l'identité, de l'acceptation et de l'amour et des grands changements qui ont été faits dans les dernières années. Alors, j'ai le plaisir.
So get ready for a morning of fun and love. And without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome Knowledge Keeper Dr. Sylvia Miracle to open our event.
Sego Segoli, I first want to acknowledge that I am, like many of you, a guest on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Nation. I'm a Mohawk, and I come as friends and allies of the Algonquin people, and several of them I have said to I'm going to be here today, and thus I am here. There are words that come before all others. In English and French, you have learned to name them. You call them prayers. But prayers are not our way. Our way is Ottawa, is the great peace with you. And in order to find that, when we come together, we are first to remind each other that we are glad you are here, that you are in seemingly good health and good mind. And to each of you I send my thanks and my greetings. But we could only be here because the natural world does her job, that the earth, that the waters, that the air, that the animals go about doing their duties and continue to support us, that we might live in this land. And when there's trouble and there's fire and there's floods, we all hurt. And so it is that the land is hurting, and we need to make sure that we remember that we exist at the goodwill of creation. We also have to understand as human beings that we don't walk this world alone, that there are our ancestors who set their feet here before, and there will be a future who will come. And we must be responsible for what we leave them. And each generation is responsible to consider 7 generations in the future. And in so considering, will the great peace be with them? And when the great peace is with them, everyone will find place in the circle. That two-spirited LGBTQ2 will no longer have to stand on the outside looking in. That we have great gifts and great knowledge. Elders are not necessarily old. It's the knowledge that's old. And the young people who are coming and pushing us and say, hurry up, you had your turn, it's our turn now. They're coming with that great love, that great peace. And today, when we're gathered together, we can send that back to creation, back to the spirit world, back to each other, and be the magnificent, beautiful people who we are as part of the circle. And so it is that those will be the opening words that I will offer. The eagle is here. The tobacco has been given. The wampum belt that reminds us that we all agreed to a treaty. Depends on whose story you tell. The 1140s, if it's my story, the 1750s, if it's your story. It's called one dish, one spoon. We live in the bowl. That's what we were given. Everything is there. And in fact, two-spirit and two-spirit teachings were there. At the beginning of time, it was there. And when we look to the natural world, we'll find all kinds of examples. We are not something that came over on the boats. We were here. The boats brought racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia. Well, get off the boat. It's over. This tobacco will be put down on the land and near the staff, the flags that are flying today. And it will be here and it will be the right way. And all of our relations have been called. They are listening. And now they want to know, what are we going to do? And there are other speakers who will tell you that. Thank you for listening. Doretto.
Merci infiniment, Aînée Sylvia, pour ces paroles sages et sincères. Nous avons le grand honneur de vous présenter un invité très spécial, le Premier ministre du Canada, le très honorable Justin Trudeau.
Quelle belle journée. C'est tellement un grand plaisir de vous voir ici. Merci d'être rassemblés en si grand nombre. Merci Sandy pour cette chanson, magnifique qui nous a bien commencé. Madame l'aînée Sylvia Miracle, merci pour cette prière. There are always new reflections on the alphabet that we use to talk about the LGBTQI+ community. But I am very pleased that the latest words that we use as a government start with 2S, because as you say, that was at the beginning. 2S LGBTQI+ communities. Merci aussi à Emma d'être ici pour animer cette cérémonie. C'est un grand plaisir de t'entendre. Je suis très content d'être ici avec toi, Marci. Je veux saluer Blake Desjardins, sénateur Cormier, merci pour votre participation ici. Je veux aussi souligner évidemment tous les parlementaires, députés, sénateurs qui sont ici. On voit vraiment de l'appui d'un bout à l'autre du pays, incluant deux chefs de parti, Jagmeet Singh et Elizabeth May. Merci les deux d'être ici. C'est important d'être rassemblés tous ensemble, mais je suis très content aussi de voir tellement de membres du public, tellement de jeunes, tellement de gens qui sont ici pour célébrer haut et fort leur fierté, leur identité. C'est toujours magnifique à voir ce matin. We're here today to raise once again the pride flag on Parliament Hill. This is something our government proudly did 7 years ago. And every time we do it, from the very first time to now and to all the years to come, we're lifting high our belief that no matter your sexual orientation, your gender identity, or your gender expression, you belong here. You have a voice here. You are respected and heard, and your existence isn't up for debate, not now, not ever. I'm going to pick up on what Emma said. When we first raised the pride flag on Parliament Hill 7 years ago, I think we all thought it would get easier after that moment. But we've been reminded of a rise in anger, hatred, and ignorance, and intolerance. That things getting easier is not automatic. That the fight for justice, for inclusion, for better is never done. And we are reminded all too often, as Emma said, whether it's online or celebrating pride or in our daily lives, that hatred still has a very loud voice. But I think we also need to be reminded that those loud voices do not represent the vast, vast majority of Canadians. As you see from the parliamentarians standing here from coast to coast to coast, from every corner of the country, as you see from the millions of Canadians who step up to be allies, who stand against intolerance, Canadians stand for openness, for respect, for dignity, for freedom, real freedom. These are the things we stand for. And yes, there are voices, and there is anger out there, but there is also so much love and support from so many Canadians, coast to coast to coast. And I hope on this day, on this season, and this year and years to come, everyone remembers how many allies and friends they have out there across the country and around the world. Depuis notre arrivée au pouvoir, notre gouvernement a fait de la protection des droits et des libertés des personnes de LGBTQI+, une priorité. On a adopté des lois pour protéger les gens contre la discrimination et les crimes de haine fondés sur l'identité ou l'expression de genre. On a protégé l'identité et l'expression de genre en les ajoutant à la loi sur les droits de la personne et au code criminel. On a criminalisé la thérapie de la conversion. On a contribué à mettre fin à l'interdiction du don de sang visant les hommes ayant des rapports sexuels avec d'autres hommes. On a lancé le plan d'action fédéral de LGBTQI+. À la Chambre des communes, on a présenté des excuses officielles pour l'oppression systémique, le rejet et la criminalisation des personnes de LGBTQI+, au Canada. On a accueilli des réfugiés de LGBTQI+, du monde entier. Et aujourd'hui, on annonce un financement de 1,7 million de dollars pour des projets d'organisation communautaire dont Marci va parler dans un instant. But we know, even with all the different things we've been able to do, there is much more work to do, and we will stand with you every step of the way. Transphobia, biphobia, homophobia are all on the rise. It's been difficult to watch. People and institutions still continue to reject who you are, to try to deny members of our communities the rights to be seen and heard and celebrated. We've seen a lot of this happening just south of the border. But even more troubling is the way it is making its way to Canada. We've seen attempts to block and disrupt Pride celebrations. Over the past few weeks, we've seen people try to remove books on gender and sexual identities from school library systems, denying kids their rights to learn. This is especially cruel towards kids who struggle with questions about their own identities, kids who don't have a loving environment where they can ask questions and get support. In too many places, it's kids who have to fight to have the pride flag raised. And in some places, it's been denied. But to those kids, I'm here to say, that even though the flag may not fly at your school, know that it proudly flies here in your seat of government. Love is the most innately human experience there is. It's hatred and discrimination that need to be taught. In Canada, you should always be able to love with complete freedom. That's what our government and all of these allies behind me from multiple parties will always fight for. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Happy Pride.
It's beautiful. Bonjour. Hello. Thank you, Prime Minister. You're taller. You're taller than I am. Bonjour. Hello. Senators, members of Parliament, distinguished guests. Thank you for joining us on this very special day. Dr. Miracle, Sylvia, you got here. You almost didn't get here.
but we are so thankful for you and for your words and for getting us started in not just a good way, an awesome way. Thank you. Emma and Sandy, you are doing an amazing job. What MCs you are. Thank you for being here. So, just a reminder, because I'm a former reporter, I was taking into account what the Prime Minister said, that this flag was raised 7 years ago. But I was also thinking, Prime Minister, that you were the first Prime Minister in Canadian history to march in a Pride parade. And here's the thing, you haven't stopped. Thank you for showing us that leaders stand up, that leaders stand beside, that leaders champion. So if we look back to that year, 2016, we might have seen clips of our Prime Minister singing, and I see people going, yeah, we remember this, Born This Way. As reported by multiple sources, including my former place, but that was indeed the first year that the Pride flag was raised. Then, Prime Minister, you went out and you took it a gigantic step further, and you told your ministers to get to work for 2S LGBTQI+ Canadians. And they did, and we did. Passing legislation to protect trans rights and prevent discrimination based on gender identity and gender expression. Banning the barbaric practice of conversion therapy. Striking down the MSM blood ban. Expunging body house and bathhouse crimes. And last summer, we launched, as we stood together with leaders in Ottawa, the very first 2S LGBTQI+ action plan, coupled with an investment of $100 million that goes directly to community organizations, grassroots organizations. All this progress was made because the courage of so many of you here. So many activists and advocates. You're here today. We listened, because that's the most important thing. Listening to community. Taking the time to understand how to get things done and how to get them done in the right way. We know that this year feels different. Yes, it is about celebrating all of the hard-fought progress. It is about that. But so many queer and trans Canadians are thinking about safety. We've heard you. We've seen the articles. We've seen the stories, even seen the data that shows us that this is so. There's been a 64% rise in crimes against members of the 2S LGBTQI+ community. So, a couple of days ago, joined by executive directors from Canada's largest Pride organizations, we announced an emergency fund for increased safety at Pride festivals right across this country. Today, because we don't stop. We don't stop. Thank you, sir. We said we can't, we won't, and we don't stop. I'm thrilled to add to this by announcing $1.7 million through the 2S LGBTQI+ action plan to fund 6 organizations. So what does this mean? This means the project funds going directly to Divergendre au Québec, Elevate Equity in Ontario, MAX, Ottawa, Rainbow Refugee Association of Nova Scotia, Rainbow Refugee Association in British Columbia, and TransCare Plus in Ontario. So combined, that is $1.7 million for these organizations to improve the lives of 2S LGBTQ people in Canada. Félicitations à toutes et à tous. As we stand on the grounds, these grounds, Parliament buildings, I want to take a second to really think about what this flag behind us means. C'est un symbole qui signifie que les droits fondamentaux de toutes les personnes sont universels, quelle que soit l'orientation sexuelle, l'identité de genre et l'expression de genre. But for so many queer and trans young people, it means safety. It means that they can be who they truly are. It means that they can trust in their community, that they can trust the parents, the coaches, the teachers, their friends, even the businesses in town. And they can trust that those are places where they can simply exist. Ask anyone, but these stories are almost a universal experience in the queer community. We really need to ask ourselves why so many in this community grew up with these scars, because the scars are there. Scars of hiding or suppressing who they really are because of someone else's discomfort or someone else's lack of understanding. So, to speak directly to every single queer and trans young person in this country, you might not see your flag in your community. You may not understand why some adults are calling you names or maybe trying to take books away in your school library. But just know that this flag here on Parliament Hill that we're about to raise is your flag. It is Canada's pride flag. We see you, we value you, and you will always have a place in this country, always. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Minister Ien. Oh. And thank you, Prime Minister. I made a rookie mistake and didn't bring a tissue, and the words were, so pardon me if I make it through. Thank you. We're all delighted to hear about the funding opportunities offered to these 6 very important 2S LGBTQI+ organizations, and congratulations to them. Next up, I'd like to welcome MP Desjardins and Senator Cormier from the Canadian Pride Caucus to say a few words.
Bonjour tout le monde, hello everyone, and happy Pride season. Monsieur le Premier ministre, Madame la Ministre Ien, chers collègues parlementaires, organismes de la société civile, je tiens à reconnaître que je prends la parole aujourd'hui sur le territoire non cédé de la nation Algonquin-Anishinaabe. I'm so honored and privileged to speak today, standing here with Blake Desjardins, the co-chair of this Canadian Pride Caucus. And I'm so proud that we're here speaking for our colleagues parliamentarians, the 10 parliamentarians that are members of this Canadian Pride Caucus. And I would like to name them and to have them identify themselves and for you to applaud them, because if it takes courage in civil society to be out, it also takes courage, and lots of courage, I would say, to be out as parliamentarians. So I want to recognize Lisa Marie Baron. I want to recognize Randy Boissonneau. I want to recognize Randall Garrison. I want to recognize Melissa Lensman. I want to recognize Seamus O'Regan. I want to recognize Kim Page. And I want to recognize Pascal Saint-Onge. And as you noticed, when we're working together, the most important things are our names, not our titles. Because The Canadian Pride Caucus was recently established by 10 parliamentarians from both chambers, all members of the two LGBTQI+ communities, who want to work together and in a non-partisan way on two LGBTQI+ issues. Our objectives are to take action in the area of parliamentary diplomacy, to raise awareness and influence our parliamentarian colleagues in the creation and advancement of two LGBTQI+ public policies, and to foster active dialogue with civil society organizations, whom I would like to thank for their tireless work. Without you, none of this would be possible. Comme le dit l'adage, seul, bien sûr, on va plus vite, mais ensemble, on va beaucoup plus loin. Et avec des actions concrètes, nous créons des changements. Alors, parlementaires, alliés, organismes de la société civile, plus que jamais, nous avons besoin les uns des autres. Nous devons être tous et toutes des champions dans nos partis politiques, dans nos groupes sénatoriaux et dans nos communautés. Et je m'en voudrais de ne pas noter que j'ai oublié de nommer Rob Oliphant et aussi Eric Duncan. Nous vivons, chers amis, nous vivons dans un pays où nous avons le privilège, oui, d'avoir un gouvernement qui est sensible et qui agit en matière des droits de LGBTQI+. Mais tous et toutes, nous devons prendre la parole et agir pour réclamer plus de justice et de liberté pour tous. Tant que les droits d'une personne issue de nos communautés ne sont pas respectés, ce sont les droits de toute la société qui en souffrent. Le silence n'est pas une option. Silence is not an option. At a time when issues of sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression are under high tension in the world due to the unprecedented rise of hatred towards two LGBTQI+ communities, we have to speak out. Nous devons être solidaires et soutenir nos amis de l'Ouganda, du Ghana et d'ailleurs, qui vivent des moments extrêmement difficiles aujourd'hui. Je le réitère, chers amis, il est de notre devoir de prendre la parole et d'agir afin de rendre notre société plus ouverte, plus inclusive et plus libre. Et nous pouvons le faire. Nous avons dans notre magnifique pays l'énergie, la force, l'enthousiasme, l'engagement et oui, les ressources pour agir encore mieux. En terminant, chers amis, j'émets le souhait que nous nous retrouverons à l'orée de la saison de la fierté 2024 dans un contexte où la haine aura cédé place à la bienveillance et à l'ouverture aux réalités de chacun et de chacune. I'd like to express my deepest hope that we'll find ourselves at the dawn of 2024 Pride season in a context where hatred will have given way to kindness and openness to the realities of each and every one of us. Bonne saison de la fierté. Happy Pride season. Play, please.
Tanse, Blake Desjardins Nisagasan, Hok Tanse, Misquiti Waskagan, Otsinia, Otakamisawak, Pestowino Aknia. My name is Blake Desjardins and I'm the proud co-chair of the Canadian Pride Caucus, the first of its kind and one that I hope offers an example, a kind of lesson that many of the 2S LGBTQI folks often have to exercise our own strength towards, which is community. We belong in a community. We belong in these spaces, and we belong in this country. The project that is underway at the Canadian Pride Caucus is one that I hope and the true interest that our communities have. We're diverse, we're remarkable, and we're folks that aren't only just leaders of tomorrow, but we're leaders of today. And it's a testament to each and every one of you being here. And I want to thank you for your leadership and for your strength and courage and knowing about how important this is, so that every single Canadian, in particular the trans community, understands that we will not accept going back. I also want to thank the elder for her words today. I want to thank you for telling us and reminding us about our journey in this place and how each and every one of us comes to this place and how we arrive to it, and to encourage those that may not have yet to get off the boat. Because, my friends, this country is better than that place, that boat. This country has a history. As an Indigenous queer person, trying to reconcile that history is one that is a project for each and every one of us. Understanding how we reconcile not only our place if we are guests here, but also understand our strength and why our unity is so important. And understanding that we come from a long generations of warriors, of leaders, and remarkable Indigenous Two-Spirit folks since time immemorial. They're present here, even if we fail to see them. And I want to recognize that they've given so much to me and for my ability to be who I am and to be free. And I want to speak about freedom for a moment. I want to speak about the reality that our country is facing. In our country, we are witnessing extremism, attempting to take away the rights that we have fought so hard to obtain. We are witnessing the degradation of who we are as people, and we're being told we shouldn't exist. But my friends, I know with your support and with Canadian support from coast to coast to coast, we can make sure that freedom isn't just a question for some, but is truly a right for all. We are not yet there, my friends, but it is one project that I know we can achieve, and it's one that our young children in particular must hear. And to the children across the country, and to those that would seek to harm those children, and those that would say those children should not be who they are. My words and advice to those children is that please know that you are loved. Survive, because I can guarantee you when you do that, when you use that courage that is in your heart to survive, there will be others to join you. We will be there with you, and we will not accept going backwards. Those that say our community is out there to make kids gay, it's a real rumor, trust me. I was just in a heat of an Alberta election, and our opponents made very clear that position. We are not here to make kids queer. We are here to make sure queer kids are not made into dead kids. That is why the raising of this flag today is not only a symbol of our love for community, it is also a symbol that we will be unrelenting in our discovery of who we are and how beautiful that truly is. And there's still so much more our community has yet to offer, and we're only getting started. Hi, my friends. Kinanaskam Tinawa.
Thank you, both of you, for those beautiful words. And I want to thank not just the ally MPs who are gathered here today, but all of the queer MPs, members of Parliament, who have inspired people like me to be able to be our true selves. So thank you very much. The message and the inspiration that you have shown can show other kids out there that they can be members of Parliament in our community, and maybe one day there'll be a trans member of Parliament, and I'd love to be at that swearing in. The truth is, this is a hyper-partisan town, but this issue is not partisan at all, and thank you for every member from every party who has joined us today. Love is not partisan. It's Canadian. Last but not least, I want to invite a young speaker, Raphael Provo, to share a few words about themselves and their experience.
C'est avec une immense gratitude et beaucoup de reconnaissance que je me tiens debout aujourd'hui et devant ces drapeaux. So proud to be here. I'm Raphaël Provost, Executive Director of Ensemble pour le respect de la diversité, an amazing organization based in Montreal. Every day, my team goes out to meet young people to give them the tools they need to embrace diversity. Le mois de la fierté, c'est oui l'occasion de célébrer, de faire le party, d'avoir du fun. Mais c'est surtout un moment pour réfléchir et trouver les moyens de se dialoguer avec bienveillance ensemble pour mieux avancer. Talking to each other with openness and kindness is the key to move forward together. Si un jour on m'avait dit que le jeune Raphaël gay et isolé serait ici aujourd'hui pour parler avec fierté devant mon pays, j'aurais jamais cru. C'est possible. Everything is possible. This is respect of diversity for myself. Leaving a place for everyone. Everyone deserves a place. There's enough place for everyone. A young queer people need to know they will find a place, a safe place. Plus que jamais, nos jeunes, nos communautés LGBT+, ont besoin d'alliés, comme vous tous. Seul, on va plus vite, ensemble, on va plus loin, pour répéter les mots de notre sénateur. Alone, we go faster, together, we go further. Be this ally for my community. It's okay to not understand everything. It's okay, but don't judge. Let's be open. La sensibilisation passe par l'éducation. L'éducation makes the difference. It helps us better understand Canada's great diversity. Not just today, but tomorrow as well. La jeunesse, ce sont nos alliés de demain. Let's be allies and listen to each other. There is enough place for everyone. Je suis très fier d'être Canadien aujourd'hui. Je suis fier d'être un gay Canadien. Je suis fier d'être devant vous. Et je me dis que si c'est possible pour moi, c'est possible pour tout le monde. Be happy, be proud, be yourself. Happy Pride, bonne fierté Canada.
Thank you so much, Raphael. And with that, I'd like to invite our Prime Minister and Minister Marci Ien to raise the Pride flag, the moment we've all been patiently waiting for.
C'est merveilleux de voir un rassemblement aussi important ici même sur la colline du Parlement. Avant que prenne fin la cérémonie, j'invite le Premier ministre, la ministre Marci Ien, le caucus canadien de la fierté et les bénéficiaires du financement à participer à une brève séance de photos. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today.
And that brings an end to our event. We invite audience members to continue taking selfies with the wonderful Adriana expose and to post on your social medias using the hashtags Pride 2023 and Field Day 2023. Let's please make a huge splash and make today's event trend. Thank you.